Hey everybody, it's GobletX, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing another premiere draft of Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Without further ado, let's get into our Pack 1 Pick 1. Super sweet pack here. I don't actually like these rares very much. Pitiless Carnage is pretty narrow, only being good super late in the game. And Bedevil is just like a decent removal spell. Kind of hard to cast though. I do quite like the uncommons in this pack. We have Outcaster Greenblade, which is going to be my pick. It's a great way to splash some stuff in your green deck, and also if you have a lot of deserts in the deck, this can get really big. It's a 2-for-1 no matter what, always pulling a land out of your deck. Just an excellent card, but this Unfortunate Accident is also a really good removal spell out of black. So for 4 mana at instant speed, you destroy target creature, but if you have 5 mana, then you get to destroy a creature at instant speed and get a mercenary, where you're getting a super good deal, a nice little 2-for-1 there. So I really love these two uncommons. But I'm going to roll with that Outcaster Greenblade. Get some fixin' rolling on in. For pick number 2, we have Honest Rutstein, looking like the best follow-up to Outcaster Greenblade. It's just the strongest card in the pack that isn't double off-color like Slick Sequence is. This is off-color by 1, like we're not in black yet, but that's totally fine. We can definitely go green-black with an Outcaster Greenblade, and Greenblade's kind of a really nice card to pick up with Rutstein. If you play this Greenblade, you trade it off into something, and then you pick it up with Rutstein, you get to replay it, get another land out of your deck. It's pretty excellent. Honest Rutstein, just a really efficient piece of graveyard recursion. Not only are you getting a 3-mana 3/2 and graveyard recursion, but it's making your future creatures cheaper too. Just packs so much punch for such a cheap mana cost. Big fan of Honest Rutstein. Pick number 3, speaking of cards that I'm a big fan of in green, we've got a Make Your Own Luck here. This is 5 mana to draw 3. That's pretty dang expensive, but you do get to exile a non-land card from all the cards that you draw to plot it, which means that you'll cast that card for free next turn. So if you manage to hit something that costs 5 mana to plot with this card, then it's almost like you spent 0 mana to draw 3. Because one of those cards you drew, you spent the 5 mana to play that card. The problem is you do spend tempo to do this. You're spending 5 mana to not impact the board at all this turn, which is still a downside for sure. This card isn't completely insane, but I do still think it's still pretty good. And in green, especially with an Outcaster Greenblade in the deck already, we can easily splash around, either splashing black for the Rutstein or splashing blue for the Make Your Own Luck. For pick 4 now, don't see anything super great in blue. I do like the counterspell a bit, but I think green's going to be more of a tap-out kind of deck where it's harder to hold up mana at instant speed. I do like Blood Hustler quite a bit in black. It's not that difficult to commit crimes, especially if you're running a lot of deserts, which we probably will be with Outcaster Greenblade. Then sometimes just playing a land is committing a crime because we're targeting our opponent with the ping. So just a 2-mana 1/1 that keeps getting bigger and bigger as the game progresses can be pretty good. It's also got a built-in way to commit a crime on there with that life drain, so we'll roll with the Blood Hustler here. Go a little deeper into black. Pick 5, we've got efficient removal out of black with Desert's Due. Again, we want to draft some deserts with this, but all the dual lands in the format are deserts. All of the common dual lands, I should say. And we already want to draft those highly for Greenblade and Blood Hustler now. I think Desert's Due looks pretty nice. I haven't played Servant of the Stinger myself, but I've played against it a lot. I don't think it's ever been great for my opponents. I mean, a 2-mana 1/3 Death Touch is just not that bad immediately, so probably actually is pretty decent. But I think I'd rather take just a more consistent removal spell and grab a Desert's Due. Pick 6, now we've got a Giant Beaver, just a really beefy green creature. This has been annoying. I've played against it a lot more than I've played it so far, but 4 mana 4/4 Vigilance is already just large. It is hard to attack past that thing. It's hard to block it well. And this has some more upside where if you have some creatures that aren't attacking or blocking very well, then you just use them to saddle this to start getting some counters on them. So pretty big fan of the Giant Beaver. I like Skullduggery a lot too. It's a really cheap way to commit a crime. It's a really cheap combat trick. But I think Beaver gets the nod there. It's just so big. Pick 7, we could take a Raven of Fell Omens if we want to commit a million crimes, but we could also just head deeper into green with some main deckable artifact and enchantment removal with Voracious Varmint. Pretty happy with that. I'm not going to splash in a double blue card off this Void Slime. It does look like we're Golgari splash blue rather than Simic splash black. Pick 8. Dance of the Tumbleweeds is reasonable. It's a little bit slow as pure fixing, 3 mana to grab a land from your deck, but you can grab a desert, commit a crime when you do it. And then it's kind of like double fixing. And the really nice thing about this is you get to play your rampant growth style cheap fixing in your deck while making sure that you don't like really flood out in the late game. If you top deck this in the late game, then okay, just make a gigantic elemental. So I think it's fine. Pick 9. The Unfortunate Accident came all the way back around. Let's go. I think this card is excellent. I also think Fake Your Own Death can be really good. If you have creatures that have good abilities when they die, or when they enter the battlefield, then this is great. And we've got 2 already with a Greenblade and an Honest Rutstein. Having either of those get recurred by Fake Your Own Death, it's pretty spicy, but I think Unfortunate Accident is just such a good removal spell. We still take that first. Pick 10. I don't generally like Conduit Pylons that much because I'm not a fan of the filtering lands that you have to pay an extra mana to actually get your colored mana out of it. But we have multiple reasons to want deserts now with the Outcaster Greenblade, as well as the Desert Stew, as well as the Dance of the Tumbleweeds, to where I will go ahead and take it here. And I'll take a random black creature, take that Skullduggery, and some off-color nonsense as we move into pack number 2. Well, really cool red rare, but it's a double red card. We're just not going to get there on Calamity. We do have a Stubborn Burrow Fiend. This is pretty nice for Golgari. We've got some great ways to use our graveyard as a resource with cards like Honest Rutstein, so just self-milling off of the saddle is fine, even if it doesn't get the buff, and if it does, it's going to be pretty good. Yeah, I'll take a nice 2-mana creature over another Desert Stew removal spell, I think, because now we have Desert Stew and Unfortunate Accident and Skullduggery for interaction. Yeah, let's get another 2-drop creature, I think, and try to keep the creature count high for cards like Honest Rutstein and cards like the Burrow Fiend. Okay, pack 2, pick 2, another Honest Rutstein versus another Outcaster Greenblade. That's difficult because they're both really, really good. I don't think either of these is going to wheel, but I do think Rutstein's slightly more likely to wheel. We also have Roxanne. We could splash Roxanne in instead of Make Your Own Luck, right? What is this? 5 mana, 4/3, enters the battlefield or attacks, create a meteorite? Oh my god. Okay, never mind. Roxanne is broken. 5 mana for a 4/3 that deals 2 damage to any target when she enters the battlefield and gives you more mana ramp when she enters the battlefield. Okay, we have to take Roxanne, and if we're super lucky, maybe we can get Rutstein back because the other green player takes Greenblade. But those are both really premium cards, so I don't think either's going to come back. All right, we are no longer splashing Make Your Own Luck. Friendship with Make Your Own Luck ended. Now Roxanne is my best friend. Pick 3. Well, we can get another Greenblade anyway, so that makes me happy. Sharpshooter off the splash wouldn't be terrible either, but Greenblade's really strong in our main color, and it makes our splash even more consistent, which is even better. Just play a single mountain, and we already have 4 red sources in the deck. There's 2 Greenblades, a dance, and a mountain. Conduit Pylons counts too, so that's 5 red sources if we run a single mountain. Another mythic. We got a Tiny Bones now. 1 mana, 1/1 Death Touch. When Tiny Bones deals combat damage to a player, you can cast a non-land permanent from their graveyard. But it's a 1/1, right? So it's just going to trade off into their smallest creature. I don't think it's ever going to really get in and cast something that often. Feel like more often than not, this just plays like a 1 mana, 1/1 Death Touch, which is decent, but I do think Unfortunate Accent's a little better. Unfortunate Accident, not Unfortunate Accent. Tiny Bones is cooler, but I think Accident is the more consistent card. Pick 5, I guess we can take another Conduit Pylons because we are not getting past any desert dual lands. I think our only opportunities to take any on-colored deserts have been like pack 1, pick 1, 2, and 3 kind of picks. We would have had to take them insanely highly here. So, yeah, maybe with double Accident and a Desert Stew, we just take another Pylons. Although there's a throw from the saddle for cheap removal instead of the Consuming Ashes more expensive removal, and either of the removal's fine. I don't know, I'm going to go pretty heavy on these deserts. We've got a lot of reasons to want them. Pick 6, we got 5 mana, 6/5 reach that draws us a card if they target it. That's a big one, obviously, but so is Mourner's Surprise, picking something up from our grave, recasting it. That's super gross with Honest Rutstein. Pick things up twice. I like both of these a lot. I will get a little more beef first, though. Let's take the Cactarantula. Pick 7, there we go. That's a perfect desert. Mirage Mesa, just pick a color, and that is what colors you're getting out of Mirage Mesa. Pretty happy with that. Actually, no, this Hollow Marauder seems really good too. I mean, it's pretty expensive, but if you just have a few creatures in grave, if you have 2 creatures in grave, I think it's already really worth it. A 5 mana, 4/2 flyer that makes your opponent discard a card. Sometimes it makes your opponent discard a card and you draw a card, which is insane. Yeah, this is actually pretty dang good. Bristlepack or a Grizzly. I don't really like either, but Grizzly has been more impressive than I thought it would be. Yeah, now we can grab some Mourner Surprises. Heck yeah. 2 mana, recur a creature from grave to hand and get a 1/1, and now here's another Cactarantula. Well, getting the Cactarantula back kind of makes me wish I did take a land over Marauder. Because while Marauder's good, I think Cactarantula is not that far off, probably. And it is better to have another desert here than have like 5, 6 drops by the end of this draft. Here's some late Mourner Surprises. I'm very excited about that. All right, pack 3, pick 1. No, why isn't the not desert? It's Blooming Marsh. It's a green-black duel that isn't a desert. I'm just going to get really annoying with this Green Blade. Just going to have triple Green Blade and no deserts. Let's go. I think we just run triple Green Blade and we draft on-color deserts over like literally anything. I say as I'm immediately put to the test. So this is a green-red desert for Roxanne fixing and for Green Blade buffs and for crimes, but I would have to take it over Vraska. I mean, I think I will. Vraska's very good, but not like bomb level insane. A 3 mana 3/3 Death Toucher, and you turn all of your opponent's dead creatures into treasure tokens whenever they die. So like, it's very dependent on what your opponent has on board and how many things you can kill while Vraska's still around. So not the most insane card that just has like immediate enter the battlefield to impact like most bombs in this format, like Roxanne. Even like Honest Rutstein, I think, just for having immediate impact is probably a little stronger than Vraska. Again, Vraska still looks really good, but the desert's just so important now with triple Green Blade. This is an off-color desert. I mean, I guess it's got one of our colors in it. Could splash in a Jolene. Seems fine. This is an okay Snakeskin Veil deck, but honestly, we're pretty fine with them killing our cards. We just are sad if they exile them. If they just kill them, I have double Mourner Surprise Rutstein, so I don't think I need Veil. Let's maybe splash in the Jolene. By herself, she's going to keep spitting out treasures. Ping whatever you want. Okay. Pick 4. What is this desert? Man of any color for mounts. Otherwise, it's just colorless. I don't know if I want deserts badly enough to justify a colorless land. Probably not. Let's just take a good on-curve creature. 2 mana, 2/2, and if we have extra mana later in the game, we get to buff up any creatures we're playing. There's good removal here too, consuming ashes and stuff. But we are full of options for removal. We got 3 right now. Plus Roxanne is kind of like a 4th. Pick 5 is nothing, right? Bristlepack Sentry, I guess. Or an Oasis Gardener. I've got triple Green Blade, so even if I run all basics, I've got plenty of ways to just tutor out a mountain. I'm not going to run the Scarecrow thingy. Boom goes the dynamite. Join us, Black-Red Dinosaur. Black-Red Desert. I don't know what happened with my brain on that one. Bloodseeker looks awesome for this deck. We have Graveyard Recursions, so we're happy to self-mill, but also, if we have anything on the board that really wants us to commit a crime, which I guess is only Blood Hustler, we can commit a crime with this instead and target our opponent. I think Bloodseeker's pretty good here. And yep, once again, as I said before, we're kind of just flush for options on removal. We'll grab murder and have that on the list of removal we could play. Now a Raven. Another Make Your Own Luck. Because I'm certainly not splashing in Reckless Lackey. I don't think I'm splashing this in either, though. I'm not even splashing the first copy, so I'll just rare draft a Commandeer. This is white-black. Yeah, so Sterling Hound's the only on-color card. Probably gets cut. I guess it mills ourselves some more to make the Marauder cheaper. Or buff the Burrow Fiend. We do have pretty great graveyard synergies. So we need to cut 6 cards out of this deck. I would like to keep the creature count really high so we can fill that graveyard frequently for the Hollow Marauder to get a lot cheaper, as well as to just have stuff to reanimate with Rutstein and Mourner's Surprise. Plus the Burrow Fiend gets bigger attacks with a large amount of creatures in grave, so probably want to be on the 15 to 17 top end of the creature spectrum. We're at 20 right now, though, so we can still cut a few. And I think out of everything I'd want to cut, it would probably be the non-creature creatures like Tumbleweed Rising. Like, this is a pretty strong card with a lot of beefy creatures in your deck. We have a few, so I think it would be okay in here. But the fact that it is a non-creature creature, something that we would mill, that doesn't add to the creature count in grave, or that we'd have in our graveyard and not be able to pick up, is a bit of a non-bow for us, so I'll drop that. And also, I think Dance of the Tumbleweeds for the same reason. Sure, it does ramp us up, but we don't have that much to ramp into. And with triple Greenblade, we're not going to miss land drops, because we're going to have one of these almost every game, and that's always going to draw us an extra land to play next turn. So yeah, we're not going to jump up the mana curve and all of a sudden have 5 mana on turn 4, but we can still pretty consistently have our 5 mana turn 5 with these extra ways to make sure we always draw our lands. And these also are the perfect mana fixing as well. These always grab the red source if we need it. So I think those are the 2 non-creature cuts, and then we're at 20 creatures, 7 non-creatures. We can just cut 4 creatures, be on a 16-creature deck here. Although, again, I'm still pretty happy with a really high creature count, so maybe we could drop, like, Skullduggery. I think the rest of our non-creatures just can't get cut. They're all really good. Double Unfortunate Accident for removal that makes a creature, Murder for just efficient removal, and Desert Stew for efficient removal. And then, of course, the double Mourner's Surprise for graveyard recursion. Looks nice in a deck with really good cards to recur, like Roxanne, Cacturantula, and Hollow Marauder. It's insane with any of those, but it's even good with cheap value plays like Greenblades and Rutsteins. So I'm definitely not cutting any of these, which means I will set aside the Skullduggery as an option too. Probably not really a link breaker deck. I think this is great with decks that want like expendable creatures, like sacrifice kind of decks and stuff like that, but we're not really doing anything like that. We've got a lot of 3 and 2 mana cards, so we probably cut a few of these and leave all this top end. So for 3 mana, I think probably the Sterling Hound and the Grizzly are the most filler there. Not because I hate the Grizzly, I have been impressed with the high power and the ability to give your entire board trample, but I just think these other 5 3-mana cards are just incredible and are never getting cut. So, gotta make room somehow. And the Sterling Hound, again, I don't hate it in this deck because we can get some value by putting stuff in our graveyard off the Surveil. We can get our Mourner's Surprises to be active, or our Rutstein to be active, or we can buff up our Burrow Fiend, or we can make the Marauder cheaper. So this deck has enough ways to use the Hound that I would say it's like just as good as Grizzly, and usually I would say Grizzly's much better. But here I think they're both decent, but they're both much weaker than our other 3-drops. Now, 2 mana cards. This is a lot for a deck that isn't that aggressive. We've got plenty of good top end. We don't need to curve out and aggro out. We've got plenty of grind to the deck as well with Graveyard Recursion. So what are the worst 2-drops? Maybe like Blood Hustler and Raven kind of stuff we have to commit crimes for, but we still have a good amount of crimes. There's 4 removal spell crimes in this deck. There's 2 crime lands. And I'm sure there's a few more randomly on our creatures. So I think Raven's more of an insta-cut than the Blood Hustler, since it has its own built-in way to commit the crimes. But these both might be on the chopping block. I'll put Blood Hustler in this pile, but I'm going to just kind of insta-cut Raven. What else? We actually have a good amount of beefy creatures for the top end, so Bristlepack doesn't seem unplayable, but it doesn't seem great either. Yeah, I mean, all of these are now just pretty mediocre, but I think they're all better than the Raven. But yeah, I mean, we could cut a Sentry or a Varmint. I mean, how often are we going to have that extra 1-mana around? Maybe not that often. Might be overvaluing Entertainer, but I still think Entertainer and Varmint are probably both better than Sentry. So 3 more cuts to go. I'm going to insta-cut that Link Breaker, that 1-drop. I think I'll put the Hustler back in. I think we have a decent amount of crimes to commit. And it's got the built-in way to do so. Let's cut the Drover Grizzly. 1 last card hopping back into the deck here. Or 1 last card getting cut here, I should say. I suppose we're at 17 creatures here. We can still cut the Skulldugger and keep that creature count high. That is 1 less crime, though, by doing that. I'm chill with it. 3 excellent graveyard recursion cards. Just go full 17. Boom. Now we'll double check our mana base, but I'm sure this is probably where we want it. We have 13 green cards, 10 black, and 2 red. We have 5 red sources and 3 ways to tutor them up. Pretty excellent. We have 9 green sources, and we have 9 black sources. How close are the black and the green? Green has 3 more cards than black does. I wouldn't hate dropping a mountain for another green source. That would be getting rid of our only untapped red source, though. And I could see curves where we want to, like, green blade up an untapped red source. Like, if we top deck Green Blade turn 4 and we've got Roxanne in hand, we really want to be able to find specifically a mountain off Green Blade. Yeah, I'll just keep the mana base as it is. It should be plenty consistent with triple Green Blade. And we will call it a deck here. Alright, here's a final look at the deck list for today. We're on a Golgari, just grindy value deck. There's tons of graveyard recursion in this archetype and a ton of just really good value creatures. We have cards like Green Blade that hit the board, draw us a land. Honest Rutstein hits the board, recurs a creature from our grave. Cactarantulas are beefy threats that draw us a card when they get targeted by removal. So there's plenty of these little 2-for-1s that add up a lot over time, and they really add up when you're playing graveyard recursion on them, like Mourner's Surprises and the Honest Rutstein. So that's kind of the core of the deck, but we also have a really nice splash for Jolene to give us some treasure tokens and shoot some treasures around. And, of course, the titular card, Roxanne, Starfall Savant, which is going to be multiple removal spells on a stick. So pretty spicy stuff, but also pretty musical stuff. Kind of spicy to have Roxanne and Jolene in the same deck. Alright, here we are for game 1. Our opponent is on the play. Got a really nice Bloodseeker into Mourner's Surprise combo. Fill our grave. And see what options we've got for that. Ooh, that looks terrifying. Caustic Bronco. 2 mana 2/2. Whenever it attacks, reveal the top card of the library, put into your hand, lose life equal to its mana cost if it isn't saddled. Otherwise, each opponent loses that much life. Alright, so we need them to not kill our Bloodseeker. We really need them to not kill our Bloodseeker so we can actually trade into that when it attacks in. Otherwise, they're going to go real far ahead in value. No! I milled my removal! I've still got an unfortunate accident to kill the Bronco later, but getting a cheap enough removal spell to immediately kill the Bronco would have been sweet. It's 4 mana to use this? Oh. Hey, we take those. They got a 2-for-1 from it because they drew a card and killed our 2/2, but we need to stop that from going any farther than it already has. Could pick up the Green Blade with our Mourner's Surprise. I think that's fine. Setting up to play the green blade next turn and grab a red source. A 2-3 instead of just a 2-2 out. Yeah. Probably worth it. Hold off on the unfortunate accident until we have 5 mana. Rattleback Apothecary, 3-2 Death Touch. No, the red source. Yeah, if they commit crimes, we are not going to outrace them with all that lifelink. But that's okay, because our deck has a lot of good grindy value. Well, I'm just going to play a green blade and shoot them in the face a bunch with deserts. Could hold up the unfortunate accident. But I want to get the deserts rolling. And we are threatening to trade Greenblade into the Apothecary if they do have some crimes to commit here. Repulse. I mean, that's good damage for our opponent, but we get even more value off the Greenblade now, so I'm pretty fine with it. I think with this unfortunate accident in hand, we can probably grind out the game long enough to take this extra damage early. I could tap out for unfortunate accident while they're tapped out. So I have 2 mercenaries to block the Apothecary if they swing back. It's going to be really suspicious to hold up 5 mana and not do anything right now. And of course they could have a counterspell up if I wait till they go to combat. I'm just going to do this. Main phase it up. Deal with the flyer and have blockers for the Apothecary. Emergent Haunting. So if they don't cast a spell on a future turn, that'll be a 3-3 flyer, and Prairie Dog, which is even worse for us. If they don't cast a spell, it keeps getting plus and plus on counters. It's got a bunch of lifelink going on too. I mean, I guess we don't have a lot of flyers, so the Haunting is probably the scarier card, but they're both pretty threatening. Pretty good turn from our opponent. Alright, no attacks. There's a Giant Beaver. Could play a Giant Beaver and a Varmint here. Oh, the Varmint can blow up the Haunting. Never mind, we're fine. We're only scared about the Prairie Dog. Alright, they only have 1 mana up. They can't counter anything. Let's Beaver and Varmint then. And I guess I could poke for 2 at this point. Still have a 4-4 and a 2-2 blocker up. Oop. I guess if they have removal, they can kill Varmint before I can kill the Haunting. But now they can't, because I'm no longer tapped out. So we can definitely kill Emergent Haunting. That is definitely the play. I don't really want to attack Giant Beaver into the Death Toucher. And I don't really have any other attacks. I guess it's kind of free to send Varmint in. Poke for 3 and kill Emergent Haunting. But if they block with anything other than the Haunting, I guess I'm just going to sack it anyway, so it's kind of whatever. Got 6 mana up, yeah, so the best case scenario here is that the 6 mana up prevents my opponent from really doing anything here. Hopefully they don't have the rare counterspell. We can play around the common counterspell here. The Green Blade's going to be fine against that. Cool. The Green Blade is fine. We grab another desert. Would like to surveil here. Murder, perfectly reasonable. Now I can cast the Entertainer with the 2 mana up against the common counterspell. Alright, and we still just blow up the Emergent Haunting whenever we're worried about it. Commit a crime, stop the beaver. Sure. I would still rather kill their haunting than save my beaver. So I'm going to do that in their end step. Before they have the mana on tap to do a bunch of surveilling or anything. Now we have the murder for the prairie dog. Or whatever their next threat is going to be here. They still have 3 cards in hand. Ooh, Arid Archway. 2 lands off of 1. Alright, yeah, they're just going to buff the prairie dog, sure. Well, I'm going to murder it. It's going to be rude. Murder. Get in there, squad. Yeah. Get in there, squad. Let's kill the green blade. Whoa, kill the Entertainer. That is surprising. Maybe they have something that blows up the highest power creature. One of those white removal spells. So they just keep the 4 power one on our board, but not the 2 power one. Burrow Fiend seems fine. Play around a flash creature by just buffing Green Blade, but I play around instant speed removal by just sending in. I kind of don't want to put anything else on board in case of a board wipe. I don't know how many board wipes are in this set, but I know there's like an instant speed one out of white. That would be devastating for me. What is this? What is this? Create a blood, a clue, or a food every turn. So draw a card every turn or gain 3 every turn. To get 3 artifact tokens with different names, they can grab any artifact from their deck, put it into play. Yeah, so they're just grabbing food. That is fine. They go to 1 life. What's the swing here? Well, they didn't have a board wipe in hand or they would have cast it there. So I guess if we played Burrow Fiend, they would just be dead right now. Awkward. Sure. Okay, now I know even if they board wipe us, we're going to have a 5/6. And surveil another card. Because I play a 5/6, I play a Conduit Pylons, and I surveil again, so... We've got a new board, post-board wipe. It's Outlaw Medic for a lifelinking blocker. And Ruthless Lawbringer. Sack the medic, draw a card, kill our Green Blade. Our Burrow Fiend is actually more damage, but they're both very big. We do have to saddle up the Burrow Fiend, so we have to tap another creature to get the huge swing with it. But I can tap my Summoning Sick threat. Now they can get a food and be at 4 life with 1 blocker up, which is not enough. They need a 2 mana piece of interaction to survive. So they go for the clue. Gamble on the card draw here, try to find something really good for 2 mana. And and Outlaw Medic is not enough, right? Chump, block, they're at 2 and take 2. Yeah, it's definitely not enough, but certainly not after Green Blade. Saddle up, send in the team, and they are dead on board. Hit them for exactsies. And unless that game was really long, I think we're 2-0 right now, but maybe that game was really long and that was game 1. Could be wrong. That was game 1. All right, 1-0 it is. Heading into game 2. My short-term memory is in the garbage bin. All right, here we are for game 2. Mono black opener, trying to get all of our colors, but the pylon surveils towards them. The deserts has a desert, so it's -3/-3. We are on the draw to get an extra draw step towards them. Let's see. Oh, that hurts. I've got double Mourner's Surprise. Never mind, that doesn't hurt at all. I'm a doofus. That's actually fantastic. That is not. That is dead. That goes in the garbage bin, never sees the light of day. That gets killed while they're tapped out, so they don't snakeskin veil it. That is so uncool. Lotus Ring's also pretty uncool. Anything they play is going to be +3/+3 and Vigilance? Alright. Well. I'm glad we have a really explosive hand, because looks like they do as well. Steed into Lotus Ring. There's the Voracious Varmint and a Burrow Fiend. They can throw the Lotus Ring onto either of those and have a 5/5 Vigilance. Super threatening. Oh right, the Burrow Fiend doesn't even have to attack to get its mill trigger. That's really good. Roxanne's really good on this board too. It's definitely going to kill something. So I can 2-mana Green Blade and 2-mana Mourner's Surprise, but there's nothing engraved to Mourner's Surprise, so all I can do is Green Blade. Grab our last desert, I guess. But we're definitely playing a tap to red source. I'll get the second green for the Cactarantula. If they just Lotus Ring something up, they've got 2 mana left. If they have to take the shield, that's gonna destroy us. Take up the shield is perfect for them. But if they don't have take up the shield... Oh no. Never mind. I forgot about Burrow Fiend getting like +5,000 each turn. +3/+3? Yeah. Oh. My, that is not good. I mean, with Rutstein Greenblade combos, we could just Mourner Surprise 1,000 times here and keep getting lands out of our deck. That's cool. Think I could just take the first hit, though. But I will probably start looping Greenblade with Mourner Surprise and chumping with Mercenaries. That kind of stuff. No! Why? Alright, well. It's an unfortunate accident for one of those cards. Do need another black source for it. So we Roxanne away the Varmints. Play a tapped desert and get to chumping for a second. I mean, I guess we can multi-block whichever one is smaller next turn. Yeah, I mean, their board is huge. They've like comboed off and everything, but we have a lot of value still with double Mourner Surprise, unfortunate accident for a 2-for-1 removal, a big old 6/5. Like, I am terrified right now, but I think if I just calm down and look at things from like a third-person objective perspective, like, you would probably rather be in our position than our opponent's position. We have so much 2-for-1 value to grind out the game if we can survive. That's just the big part that I'm worried about. Surviving. There's a land. I was going to say, don't tell me they have something good enough to sacrifice the Burrow Fiend towards. Think we do this and then kill the Burrow Fiend. If they have a combat trick here, this is nightmare scenario where they have to take up the shield to go with all this. All right, no take up the shield. So we kill their last creature and recover from there. That's the plan. This is 5 mana. So I will still have 2 mana up thanks to Roxanne's Meteorite to still have a chump blocker up this turn. Let's do this before they top deck. Is your last card Snakeskin Veil? If it's a Snakeskin Veil, I think they should have Snakeskin Veiled the other things, so I don't think it is. Oh, it's a Flicker? Oh my god. It's actually perfect. Well, that's really bad. So they get the thing back. It's going to attack for a lot. We have to chump block. Okay, pick up Rutstein, because Rutstein picks up the next card. That's more blockers. Yeah, it attacks for 5. I go to 2 if I don't block it. If they play another creature to saddle it, then I have to chump block it because it attacks for well over lethal. Alright, well. I have to chump it. 7 damage at least, right? 6? I guess I can go to 1. Do I, though? In good conscience, go to 1 life? Yes. So, Rutstein, Roxanne for this turn. And that gives us enough stuff to double block a 7/7 giant beaver. And then Rutstein dies again, and then we Mourner Surprise Rutstein Roxanne again. I think if they were a red deck, I would have chumped last turn. They're playing completely off the top right now. And they found the throw from the saddle. Ew. Well. Mourner Surprise Rutstein Roxanne for the play this turn. I don't think so, not yet. I think I chump here. I don't really want to like Mourner Surprise Rutstein back and play Roxanne until a turn where I'm also killing something with Roxanne, so we just Cactarantula and try to get the double block with Cactarantula instead. Cactarantula Rutstein. I have no deserts left. Which is impressive. Alright, and then we Surveil. How many cards are in my deck now? 21? Okay, yeah, we're fine to mill. Keep the sentry, though. I don't know how I'm getting in. Maybe we have enough value plays that eventually I can just have enough creatures that they block 1 and take lethal from everybody else. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 damage on board. I guess if they miss on their next draw step, if I just pick up a Roxanne and play her, then they're dead next turn. Alright. We go for it. Lethal on board for a super wide swing next turn. right, sack the beaver to make their own luck. Draw 3. That's the alternate text on the Lotus Ring. They can sack the beaver for blue. They need 4 mana worth of blockers to stop us from killing them. There's a Miriam with a Lotus Ring. That does not stop us from killing them. Especially when we top deck removal. Now I can be certain that the math is correct and they're super dead. I forgot she makes meteorites when she attacks too. Because I never got to attack with her. I was on chump mode. Oh boy, alright, well, another long, hard-fought game, and we are 2-0, just grinding it out like crazy with all the graveyard recursion. Alright, really excellent opening hand here on the play for game 3. Gonna have a juicy green blade, followed up with a giant beaver. Like this curve a lot. Yeah, and there's the untapped land, so I can even tutor out a black desert with the green blade and still play beaver turn 4. Alright, well, I'll draw the 2-drop on turn 3 is always sad, but I guess we'll play that on turn 6 at this rate. I would like a black source pretty badly, but I'd also like to play Cactarantula turn 5. The only guaranteed way to go beaver into Cactarantula is to take the untapped desert, so here we are. And I guess that is our first black source anyway. We just have to spend an extra mana to get the black mana. There's their own green blade. They've got 2 deserts already, so theirs is bigger. That's rude. They don't have a 3rd desert, though. They grab an island. There's a natural black source. Don't actually think I keep it right now. No, throw from the saddle. Card's been a huge overperformer. That just killed our biggest creature and got them an attack they wouldn't have had otherwise. Well, Cactarantula. Throw removal of this one and I will draw a card. Well, they're throwing removal at that one, so at least I draw a card. But I also take a considerable amount of damage because that's a double strike on the Vigilante. Down to 7. Got the double Mourner's Surprise. 6 mana. I can cast 2 creatures and get a 1/1. Feels like the play. I could Sterling Hound and try to mill into something better for the Mourner's Surprise, but I think it's best to commit as much as possible to this board right now. If they have the counter unless I pay 2, is it worse for me if they counter this or the Mourner's Surprise? I think it's worse if they counter the Mourner's Surprise, so I do this first. So they can't counter that one. But then I let them counter the 2/2 if they have it. They do not have the counter unless we pay 2. Bonnie! Well, I have played Bonnie in exactly 1 deck, and I have never lost a game where I cast Bonnie. She is the most busted rare in the... Maybe not the most busted, but definitely top 3 most busted rares in the format. You get 2 gigantic threats and you draw a card every time any one of your creatures attacks. It doesn't even have to be Bonnie or Bo. Even the Green Blade immediately gave them a 3 for 1 off Bonnie, 2 massive threats, and a card. Well, we can make Bonnie have an accident now. That's something. While they're tapped out. Does this have ward? Oh no, I have to conduit pylons, never mind. I only have one natural black source, so I have to filter through the conduit pylons to actually get removal. I feel like Bonnie's just killing us from the grave now. Still. She ripped a removal spell from her hand, drew them an extra card, and gave them a 7/7 that's about to kill most of my board. Actually, the whole board. If they don't have a trick, and if they do have a trick, we lose on the spot. Yeah, you got me. Didn't really have another choice. And I guess we could always like try to chump block every single turn. Die to a trample trick. I've noticed, doesn't really seem like there's a trample trick in green that I can remember. There's like the snakeskin veil thing. Okay. Opponent's deck was wildly busted on the curve out there, so 2-1 it is. All right, here we are on the play for game 4. We got Bristlepack Sentry into the Green Blade. It's going to give us our splash mana. I think we have a black-red desert, right? That'll be perfect here. That's the second black for the accident. And the red source if we top deck one of our splashes, and we did top deck one of our splashes with Roxanne. There's Burrow Fiend, another Green Blade. All right, let's grab the black-red duel. We don't have a black-red duel. Oh, we do. Why is it over here? I almost didn't grab it because you tucked it away from me. That's a little cheaty face, Arena. Why would you show all the non-basics? All those three together, but then hide this one from me. Pretty suspicious, I think. You teaming up with our opponent, Arena? What's that about? What is that about? I could blow up one of their cards with Unfortunate Accident this turn, but that would mean I don't play Roxanne next turn, and I would like to play Roxanne next turn. Boop. Grab a tap land, because we're going to go 5-drop, 5-drop, 5-drop these next few turns. We don't need the 6th mana to be untapped. Here we go. Roxanne. If they don't... Yeah, that's fair. I was going to say, if they don't have removal for Roxanne, she's incredibly rude here. Because then I just attack with her and kill another 2/2. Or I kill her 3/2 at that point. And then it's like their best play is to get 4 for 1. Right? I get Roxanne, I kill Burrow Fiend, I kill Sterling Hound. They then double block Roxanne with like 2 2/2s. That's killing 4 of their cards with 1 Roxanne. I mean, maybe they'd have like a 3/3 to play, so I could kill the Sterling Hound and then they block her with a 3/3, but still. Really dumb card, wins the game, and it's kind of just the polar opposite of last game. Our opponent cast Bonnie and Bo, and it's like, alright, well, I'm gone. And this game, we cast a Roxanne, and now our opponent's gone, so... Not too much magic recently, but we are 3-1 heading into Game 5. Here we are for Game 5 with a mono-colored hand. That's kind of sketchy, kind of awkward, but we can entertain her and buff up our varmint and stuff, which is cool. I'm going to keep this on the draw, but... I don't know. Depends on what we draw into. If we draw a bunch of red and black spells, we are doomed. But if we hit the right colors of mana before we do, then we're fine. Well, there's the black source. We do really want to hit a desert before turn 5 so that we can play the Cactarantula early. Cast it for 5 mana instead of 6 would be very nice. Rambling Possum. Alright, well I can have a... Ooh. I might have to pick up the untapped desert with Green Blade. Because I'm considering playing Varmint and getting a counter with Entertainer here, and then I can play Green Blade and get a counter with Entertainer the turn after. Maximize the +1/+1s this way. This is probably not worth it, but whatever. I'm going to go for maximum +1/+1 counterage. We're going to go Varmint as a 3/3, then we're going to go Green Blade, pick up the untapped desert to play the untapped desert and give that one a counter as well. And then we can still play Cactarantula turn 5. Does this saddle for only 2? Well, it saddles for 1. This possum is real good. Just saddle that Keykeeper and attack for 4. Even if they don't care about putting it back in their hand, they don't have to. Just slam me for 4. And so they do. No blocks. Down to 16. Okay. Turn 5 Cactarantula, turn 6 Roxanne. Turn 5 Roxanne, though, when they have a 2 toughness creature, feels good enough to actually take the tapped desert for Green Blade, so I can Roxanne next turn. Especially with Mourner's Surprise in hand, so that if they do kill her, I bring her back, and yeah. Sorry, Entertainer. I'm getting a tapped desert in the end. Let's get the black-red again. I've got 3 green sources in hand already. Let's get a 3rd black. I'm gonna hold the 2/2 up so we can threaten a double block of 4/5 possum. Maybe keep that off of us. I suppose a 3/3 and a 2/3 is enough to threaten the double block, but they could Keykeeper and tap down one of our cards. I guess if they use the Keykeeper, then I can't double block anyway, because they stun the 3/3. But that soaks up their mana, stops them from casting as big of a creature this turn. Alright, there's their own Green Blade. MVP card for this format. Arid Archway is the desert they find, so it's kind of like they tutored 2 lands out since it taps for 2 mana. They basically play that and pick up a land so that they're up 1 mana for the turn. It's basically as if they'd played 1 land this turn, and then now they have a force to play next turn. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana off of 5 lands next turn. Yeah, we're doing the thing. Let's do it, Roxanne. Oop. Now I have double Mourner's Surprise, so I can absolutely just send in Roxanne and trade with anything and be super happy. If Roxanne made untapped meteorites, she'd obviously be even better. I was going to say she'd be completely broken, but she's kind of already completely broken. She would go from busted to busted. But I'd be happy because then I could have put a counter on her with our Entertainer. Saddle up the possum. They might want to pick up the Green Blade and replay it. Because, like, otherwise, I mean, we've got huge blocks. You need some real good combat tricks. Yeah, they're just wanting to replay the Green Blade for value. Show me a really good combat trick. While I do have double Mourner's Surprise, I am perfectly happy to start attacking with Roxanne and have her trade off on attacks instead of blocks, because then we get a meteorite from the attack and a meteorite for the recast. So that's why I'm not adding her to the stack of blockers. She just has a really good attack trigger. Well, looks like only the one desert from our opponent, or they need an untapped source right now. Although they already played their land for turn. I think. Throw from the saddle. Alright, well. Sorry, Roxanne. Can reanimate her right now, but she doesn't kill anything on the recast. She's still good. I just shoot their face. I think I'm perfectly happy to just make a big cactarantula. Hold off on a turn for Roxanne. For Roxanne? Big tarantula. Bounding Felidar. That's got a really great saddle ability, right? You get to put a counter on the whole board. Oh yeah, and gain a life for each creature you have. That's pretty sick. They're at a low enough life total, though they probably have to just trade it into Cactarantula. I don't think I pre-combat a Green Blade. Because a post-combat Roxanne could just kill them if they don't block. Alright, they are going to go ahead and do the Felidar for Cactarantula trade. This is fine. Actually going to go Green Blade and Mercenary and buff those up. Keep a Giant Beaver. You know what, let's just go full Entertainer value here. I'm just throwing the Mourner Surprise out here to get counters on all the board. Boom. Railway Brawler. This card has killed me a lot. In the past, I think it was in our sealed events, so I'm happy to get some revenge here because I don't think it's quite enough. Okay, actually it is really, really bad for me. Made their 3/3 a 6/6 and they drew a card off it. They block 3 things. Block, 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 take 4. 5/6 off Roxanne. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana left over. Can play Roxanne and Giant Beaver. I think we attack with everybody and have Roxanne finish something off. Alright, good block. Keep the Railway Brawler around. Yeah, excellent block. Well, I mean, I guess the one issue with this block is it puts them to 1 life, so they're dead to a desert. But we don't have more deserts. They are dead to 1 Roxanne attack as well. If I shoot the face. I think I have to shoot a blocker. Because if they don't kill Roxanne, then they're dead anyway. Wait, why was this only 3 mana? What happened? Whenever you tap an artifact token for mana, add a mana of any type that it produced. Wait. Why does every card have 8 lines of text now? She doubles up? The meteorites are double mana? Why? I guess because that makes her a better commander build around. You can play a bunch of mana rocks in your deck and have fun with her. That is just so unnecessary for her draft and standard power level, though. Like, she's already doing a lot. Okay, so they're double meteorites. Ooh, Railway Brawler with that Prairie Dog's gross. 4/4 lifelinker on blocks is going to make it really hard to find lethal this turn. Well, I'm really happy to see that. Even if I lose this game, I get to send a message, and that message is, screw Railway Brawler. Get out of here. Probably should have just killed Prairie Dog and maybe they're dead, but I can't resist killing this thing because I hate it. No! More life gain in a 4/4 because Railway Brawler is stupid. I think Roxanne is probably the stronger card because she provides you a bunch of meteorites by herself and you need other cards to go along with the Railway Brawler to get the counters off of it. But they're both very stupid. Well, now what? Just offer a beaver trade, right? And a green blade trade. And a Roxanne trade. Kinda think I send the team in because they're playing off the top. We can have Roxanne meteorite the Prairie Dog. And send in the mercenary, so even if the Prairie Dog blocks there, it dies. But I could also just do this. Trade. Chump. Yeah, they have to lose the Prairie Dog to this attack, I think. They can't survive without blocking with Prairie Dog. So yeah, we're going to lose Roxanne, but most importantly, they're going to lose Prairie Dog. All right. And Voracious Varmint off the top. All right. Roxanne wins the dumb rare battle. We get there in the end. Actually, she probably wouldn't if we didn't have the Graveyard Recursion, so Mourner Surprise is the true MVPs here. Looping back our super busted stuff. The format is explosive. It's gross. And we're playing bombs, doing bomb rare things. We are now 4-1, guaranteed at least at the break-even point in value, and a positive win rate from here. Which is nice, because we are in the Mythic queues. It doesn't show our rank in these Premier drafts anymore, because Arena is a buggy mess. But if we go to our profile and look, I think we're like Mythic 250 right now or something, so we are playing against the top level of competition. So, super nice to get some positive win rate runs this early in the format in the high-level queues. Here we are for Game 6 with Beautiful Mana and Roxanne in the opener. If I get to keep bombing people with Roxanne, I'm just going to keep doing it. It's powerful. And it is a way to win some games of Magic. Got a Cactarantula as well. I do need to top deck a couple lands, but any lands work. We've got perfect mana. I don't think I Deserts do that when I can Deserts do a 3 toughness card later, and also Roxanne just kills that on the enter the battlefield trigger. So it's probably not worth spending a card. Honest Rutstein. Cool. I could cast Honest Rutstein, and that guarantees a Roxanne next turn if they don't kill Honest Rutstein, but losing that enter the battlefield value is super bad, especially if our opponent has a similar hand to us, and they're just holding on to a bunch of removal. Then that's just really bad. Yeah, this is probably holding up the counter unless we pay 2 at this point. So if we top deck a land, we Cactarantula instead. Still don't think I cast removal right now. I do think I cast Green Blade. If it gets countered, alright, now they don't have a counter for Roxanne. If it doesn't get countered, then now we have the mana for Roxanne. Alright. Fair enough. Get rid of the counterspell before they can get the flyer off of it. Feels good. Another Bloodseeker. Holding 3 mana up. That is enough for another counter. Mourner's Surprise. You are not the mana, my friend. I guess you sort of are. Pick up the Green Blade and get the mana much later. Well, at this point, I think we have to Deserts too. Let's do it now before they have enough mana to counter and get a flyer out of the counterspell. That is 100% interaction. Tyrant Scorn bounce their own card. All right. Certainly works. Just the Bloodseeker again. Mill themselves. Have the 3 mana up for the counter. 4 mana up, why not? No creatures in grave for Honest Rutstein. And if I cast anything that actually matters, they can just counter it. The Green Blade or the Rutstein or the Murder. So the only thing that I know I can resolve is Bloodseeker. But again, like, I have no way to... I'm just not drawing lands, so I'm never going to be able to pay the 2 on any of my actually impactful spells, so just getting a Green Blade countered by the counter unless I pay 2, getting it countered before they can counter it and get a 2/2 flyer is probably fine. And if they don't have the counter spell, I think it's our best play, because it locks in the 5 drops next turn. Okay. Kind of wish I didn't auto-tap that. I should have thought a little longer on it. I could have played that and Bloodseeker if they didn't have interaction, which it looks like they didn't. I could have grabbed the untapped Desert. But since it auto-tapped all the black sources anyway, we might as well get a tap land at that point. Oh boy. We put this on top with Roxanne mana coming up, but that's a 3/3 now, so we can't Roxanne that away. I guess I could block it with Roxanne, and then we can Rutstein Roxanne back to our hand. Save. If this is just going to be a chump block, we might as well chump 3 damage instead of 2 damage. Later. Okay. I'm at 6 life. I'm snap blocking. Okay, do they have double take the fall? That'd be gross. Yeah, pretty much. They're down to 2 cards in hand now, though. One of which is a Rictus Robber? Come on. Come on. 1 mana up from our opponent? Okay. Please, no action. Just let me trade my 2 things off. Thank you. Our opponent's at 38. Ew. They draw a card if I don't ditch a 4 mana value thing. Alright, goodbye, Cactarantula. Vault Plunderer, so they draw a card anyway. Stop with all the value. I have 4 mana after this. I can unfortunate accident without getting a creature off of it. If Bloodseeker mills one creature from my deck, I can Bloodseeker, Marauder, and Murder. 1, 2 for Bloodseeker, 3 for Marauder, 3 for Murder. And it's a lifelinking blocker for the Vault Plunderer. I think that's probably worth it. Come on, creature, creature, creature. That's a creature. There we go. That's 2 creatures, so even better. Made them discard a Fake Your Own Death. That's a great discard. Now murder the flyer while they're tapped out. Can I stabilize now? I mean, they were empty-handed, so they're playing off the top. If we're not stable, it's because the draws are good. And it's a land. We're stable. Now we try to get ahead. The lifelink is a big way to do that. We just start sending in. Let's go, team. Go, team, go. Go, team, go. Hey, Jolene. Let's go, Jolene pre-combat. Go, team, go. And just sack a treasure to kill this Vault Plunderer. I'm gonna leave it around, though. I'm gonna hold up the unfortunate accident. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, lethal on board if we sack the treasure to the face. We blow up whatever they play. That was a stressful game of Magic. We did get the victory in the end, thanks to Roxanne with Graveyard Recursion just being so disgusting. But when I saw our opening hand, when I saw that we had the Roxanne, and we were just going to be able to roll with her, I was like, this is going to be easy bake win, auto win off Roxanne, but our opponent made us fight for it. They had a bunch of great interaction early to slow us down, and we missed a lot of pivotal lands in the early game, had to wait for that 5th mana for a very long time to keep it as stressful and as tight as possible. I think that was literally as close as that game could have been. I think if we had missed a land for just like one more turn, we would have just lost. I don't think it could have been any closer than it was. So, super stressful. But we find the mana in the end for our busted cards. And we pilot them back towards victory. We are now 5-1, heading into game 7. Alright. Got a solid start here for game whatever this is. Got a turn 2 Burrow Fiend to fill our graveyard for this Honest Rutstein later. And the hand just got better, drawing into the Green Blade to saddle our Burrow Fiend instead of saddling it with Rutstein. Playing against a blue-red deck. Lots of cheap spells, trying to cast 2 of them in one turn kind of stuff. Let us Green Blade. Is this Saddle 2? It is Saddle 2. Oh, but this is 2 power. We already have a Desert out. Cool. I don't have a 4 mana card, so we'll just take the tapped Desert to play next turn. And cast a 3 mana spell on that turn. Let's saddle and mill. And if it's a big enough mill, then we'll send in. That's big enough for me. I'm cool to trade with the summoner, since it can potentially spit out a bunch of dinos. What is this? Oh, it's a 4 power creature! No, the dino! Dino army begins. Well, that was very good for our opponent. Well, if I kill this, then they don't have the dino army coming out anymore, or I could just kill this, because if they play a different 4 power creature, this will still do the army thing. Although if I've got a 3/4 blocker up, they get 1 more dino and I kill the summoner on the attack, so... Let's just hold up the murder. We're definitely going to kill one of these things, I think. Although if I hold up the murder, I don't get to attack with Burrow Fiend. Or if I hold up the blocker, I don't get to attack with Burrow Fiend. Yeah, our deck's really good at grinding out a long game. Just hold off here and get on blocks. 2-2 on the 4-2, 3-4 on the 3-3. Murder if they try to combat trick us. Alright, draw a card off the Courser. It finds the bounce spell. Wow, well, wonder what's going to happen now. They just spend 5 and bounce both our creatures. They could bounce just the Burrow Fiend for 5 mana also, if they don't want us to get more Greenblade value. Huh? What? Are they double spelling? Oh, they might be double spelling for the 2 mana deal 2 and draw a card if you double spelled. No. They just want to give us Greenblade value. And have that be exiled forever? Alright. That was interesting. I mean, I don't know what else is in their hand. There might be something weird I don't even know about. That would make that the bestest line. I don't have a creature in my grave. Oh, no, I do, because I milled with Burrow Fiend, so I can Rutstein and Greenblade, and that's a beautiful turn. The green team getting in. Let's go, Desert Squad. Alright, goodbye, Greenblade. You tried. Ooh, there it is. There's the slick sequence. 2 damage and draw a card for being the second spell. Two mana for Mortar Surprise, 3 mana for Rutstein, 1 mana for Sentry or Varmint? Sure. That seems good enough for me. I see your double spell, and I raise you a triple. Ooh, baby, a triple. I'm gonna grab every land for my deck with how many times I'm gonna recast these green blades. Our opponent is done attacking. Which is fair. Life totals are pretty close here, so now that I have the bigger board, they gotta worry about counterattacks. Deserts do? Sure. Keep that sheep removal. So I don't want to cast the next green blade this turn then. Probably cast the big old Cactarantula. I guess that is playing into the counterspell pretty badly. I like this 1/1 on blocks because they have a 3/1. So I'm not going to mercenary up any extra damage. Alright. It's fine. Well, now I can pick up Honest Rutstein and continue to be annoying while playing around the counter unless I pay to, so I'm going to continue to be very annoying. Rutstein Value Town just does not stop. Alright, there's the Deserts do if I need the combat tricky thing. Take it all, says opponent. Cool. I'll just Cactarantula hold up deserts too. Desertion. Counterspell if an artifact or creature is countered, put on the battlefield under your control. Well, luckily they are more than far enough behind that that doesn't really matter. 4 life. Now they're tapped out of another counterspell, so... It's Green Blade, that's our biggest threat. That is a really, really sweet card, though, from the full art reprints. There's Discerning Peddler, discard a card, draw a card. There's an Outlaw Stitcher. Okay, that's pretty big. That is more than enough blockers to survive. Slightly bold attack. Blood Hustler's the draw. Hold the phone, that card is broken. In this exact position. I only have the mana to use it one time. I can Deserts do... Send in with 3 threats, they have to go chump, chump, chump. That seems worth. Just clear their board here. We trade into 1 and the other 2 have to chump. And then I can Rutstein back 1. I don't get to drain their life if I do that. I think I'd rather... Okay, it doesn't matter. We are really far ahead. I should probably not overthink it. My apologies to opponent. I think I'd rather drain the life, though, just in case, because they have a potentially unblockable threat. They need a huge combat trick. But if it's like, burn my face for 3... If it's like a Skewer the Critics in hand, and they have like burn me for 3, burn me for 3, send in a 4-power unblockable creature, maybe the life drain would be relevant. I guess it would have to be 3 damage burn and 2 damage burn for that to be relevant, because that'd be 5 plus 4, that would stack up to 9 damage, and the 1 life drain would put me at 10 life to survive it, so I think I was going to go for the life drain there in the end. Either way, this deck is disgusting. Recurring a Roxanne multiple times is completely broken, because Roxanne's already great initially. And same goes for Rutstein. Just recur Rutstein, recur Rutstein, recur Rutstein, so every time one dies, we're just getting it back on board, trading again, getting another creature back from grave. Some really annoying, really, really grindy Wars of Attrition with all our graveyard recursion, and that's going to pull us all the way to a 6-win run. No matter what, we're 6-1, heading into the final battle with 2 shots at a trophy run. All right, here we are for the first round of the final boss. We've got excellent mana in the hand and a really beefy green blade, so I'm pretty pumped about this one. We are on the draw here, so our opponent gets to roll out first. Trained Erranks is the play. That is a big deal if they can saddle it up. We are not going to be blocking that very soon at all. I guess Green Blade can be 4 toughness really quickly, so that could work for us. Well, now we've got our 3-drop, 4-drop, 5-drop. Insane curve. Entertainer into Greenblade into Beaver into Cactarantula. When you're curving out perfectly, though, Entertainer's not that good, because you want that leftover 1 mana to buff your creatures. So, Entertainer's pretty replaceable in this curve, but Greenblade, Beaver, and Cactarantula are some of the best spells at their respective mana costs, at least out of the commons and uncommons. Our opponent has a Steed, and we don't have removal, so that can very much kill us. That's not good. We'll have big enough blockers to kill the Steed if they don't have combat tricks, but they're going to get at least one 3/3 flyer that we're then not going to be able to deal with. I am pretty concerned. Pretty concerned about that rare from our opponent. I think I would like a non-conduit black source with these spells in hand, but that can be a tiny bit awkward here. Because now we're getting a tap land, which means if we don't draw another untapped land, then the Giant Beaver, the Cactarantula, one of these is not getting cast on its respective turn. I think I'd be fine with skipping over the Beaver, though. Because if we play the Jagged Barons, then we can filter black mana out of the Pylons next turn instead, and get a lifelinker to trade off on blocks. They're going to lasso our thing. I'm glad I've got main deck enchantment removal, because that'd be a really good draw. Blow up the lassoed by the law. I guess I kind of need the Beaver to have a big enough creature to block the first striker. Ooh, Hollow Marauder? Now I kind of want to fill my grave. So that has again changed my mind a little bit. I am now more okay with chump blocks and very okay with milling myself. So we want to speed run to a full graveyard. No! My seed removal! Yeah, make it 4 power so I can't even double block kill. Welcome to my face. Erinx has been nuts. I could double block so that I have enough creatures to play Marauder next turn. That doesn't feel right, though. Alright, there's the Steed. Oh no. Oh my god, no. And a Congregation Gryff? R.I.P. Yeah, they have 3 mounts. The mount decks are just so nasty. That's so huge. The Steed with the Mercenary is already gross. Oh no. We drop a Cactarantula and we pray. Another mount means the Congregation is like a 5/9 on its attack. Well, don't think things have lined up well for us here. I think this would be a winnable matchup in the grand scheme of things, if this were like a best of 3 or something, but their deck is really, really synergy and bomb driven, so we would need removal spells in our opener, and we milled the only removal spell we've seen this game, so don't think there's any shot from here. Yeah, no, they just keep sending a 6/9 lifelink. I don't even have a remotely good play. I just play a Beaver and pass, and then now I have to chump with Cactarantula. Alright, well that's dead on board. Well, that deck's busted. Our deck is busted too, but they got a really nice draw there. And we had a pretty average one for our deck, so. Alright. Some Divine Justice there to get just combo killed out, really. with just the dream team of mounts alongside some of White's best removal with those lassos. 6-2 it is as we head into the final game of Magic for today. Win or lose, this is our last chance. This is where we're going to see if we get a trophy run or just so close in the end with a 6-3. Here we are for the final battle, unfortunately on the draw again, so starting a little bit behind instantly, but our opening hand is very, very good. So I think that absolutely makes up for it. We've got the interaction this time and a green blade, so I think this opening hand is even better than the last one by a decent margin. If they don't instantly commit a crime here, I don't think I need to Deserts do the Vigilante. Just trade 2/2s. And even if they commit a crime, a 2/3 green blade or bigger, 3/4, anything like that, is going to trade into Vigilante even if it gets the double strike. Alright, 4 damage it is, but that means they don't get to cast another creature this turn, so I think it's fine. Take that extra 2. Varmint? Oh, the Surveil doesn't matter because I'm just going to green blade, so I guess we fill the graveyard with more creatures for synergy. Untapped land Beaver, untapped land Cactarantula. We can just play backwards turn 6. If their hand is literally 5 removal spells, then the Vigilante is going to be really good. Another green blade. If I play green blade, they Keykeeper it down and hit me for 4, even without casting another spell. I think I have to Deserts do at this point. Vigilante is usually nowhere near this consistent, so I was really not expecting to have to kill this thing with Deserts too. But it is looking pretty bad that I didn't just immediately do that. Obviously, it's played out in a way where just immediately killing it would have been far better. But what can you do? I've seen a lot of Vigilantes as just a 2-mana 2/2 that have triggered maybe once. 6/5 reach to block the Griffin. And if they tap it down with Keykeeper, we draw a card every time they do that. Oh boy, another Griffin. That is super concerning. Greenblade doesn't have reach, right? Does not. I think Beaver's going to be better because it's got the Vigilance, so we'll play Beaver this turn. Which means the Surveil does matter. If I wanted to play Greenblade instead of the Beaver, then I wanted to search first and then Surveil, since I'm about to shuffle my library. Yeah, we might just die because we didn't turn 2 kill Vigilante. I mean, I stand by the play, but what can you do? Sometimes they just have the perfect Vigilante curve. Vigilante, removal. It's gonna be a really disappointing ending. Yeah. Okay, well, that's Magic, baby. Guess I'll die. Die to the Griffins in the sky. And that ain't removal either. Well, once again, really disappointing ending there. Just a super disappointing game. I stand by that it was reasonable with only the 1 removal spell in hand to not blow it on a card that's quite often just a 2-mana 2/2. It just really didn't pan out when it was Deserts Due into Vanishing Verse into Keykeeper for 3 crimes in a row available to our opponent. Like, we have no way of knowing they have the perfect Vigilante curve. And I think there's just too many really explosive bomb rare kind of creatures to not consider just holding that removal. Because if this was almost any other round, and I threw the Desert Stew at the Vigilante, based on how a lot of those other games went, they would then just like resolve a Roxanne style bomb later that I can't kill, and then we super die because we blew the Desert Stew that early. So again, I don't think I did anything super wrong here. Obviously, in perfect hindsight, if I knew exactly what our opponent's hand was, killing the Vigilante turn 2 would have been excellent. But with the way our last couple games had gone, our first 2 losses had gone, where we just died because we couldn't removal, we couldn't stop their synergistic combo stuff, and they're really bomby creatures, I think it was fair to hold the removal, because if we had the Desert Stew to kill the really bomby creatures, we would have been fine in those other games, so I wanted to save it for a really bomby creature. Just turns out, because of the way their hand was oriented, the Vigilante was a really bomby creature. Disappointing, but again, I don't think, with the knowledge and the information we had about their deck at the time, any plays here were super wrong. They just didn't work out, and that's part of Magic. I think this deck is super capable of a 7-win run, so while 6-3 is really far up in value, I am still disappointed in the end result. I think particularly considering the way that it ended with 2 losses in a row at the very end when all we needed was one last victory to get that 7-win, that's always going to be a bit disappointing. But I also just think those weren't terrible matchups for us, just the draws lined up in a way to where our opponents got the wins. Like, if it was best 2 out of 3, I think our deck easily can go toe-to-toe with both of those last opponents that we lost to. We just ran into their really good hands on the play, especially the very, very last deck, that black-white deck. Like, if it was best of 3 and I knew how much cheap removal and stuff they had, round 2 and round 3, I can play around that double striker a lot better, and our deck, I think, can really grind out the late game against that kind of just black-white aggro. So, yeah, is what it is. Don't quite make it to greatness with this one, but I don't think that's anything super wrong with how we played or how we drafted. It just was not in the cards for us today. Still, again, overall, I think I drafted an absolute banger. Didn't play it out perfectly, but didn't play it super poorly. Just a lot of hindsight decisions that you can't know with the information we had at the time. Is what it is. 6-3 is still some great value for today. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video and are interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.